Welcome to the Nerd Pastor Podcast, a place where faith and fandom collide together in church leadership. I didn't realize, I don't know which came first, chicken or the egg. I noticed on Ricky's Christians United, Nerds United show or whatever, he also says faith and fandom collide. I don't know which came first. I'm pretty sure mine came first. I'm just saying. So we'll say in church leadership. With me as usual, Seth Muse. Seth, how you doing today, buddy?
We ride at dawn to take back the right to say faith and fandom collide.
That's right. That is our banner.
That's ours.
And we will die on that hill with that banner in hand.
Yeah, I'm doing good, man. I'm doing really good. It's sweltering in Texas, but cooling off. So it's nice and getting a lot of work done. And man, I am really indulging a lot of nerddoms these days. So
that's good.
I'm excited about this episode.
I have been watching a lot of TV and movies while feeding our baby boy. Not much else you can do while you're holding a bottle and a baby for 20 minutes at a time.
How old is he now?
He is 6 months. 6 months and a week, I think. Something like that. So I've gotten to watch quite a bit of TV while I'm feeding him. It's awesome. He's a perfect baby. He really is. In fact, he's the kind of baby I pick him up from daycare, and the teacher's like, he's such a good boy. And I'm like, I know. And she's like, no, seriously, he is such a good boy. And I said, I know, we're very blessed. And she like shakes my shoulders. No, you don't get it. He is such a good boy.
She's not complimenting you. She's asking you how you did it. That's what she's asking. She's not like, idea. He's good. I'm telling you, how do you do it? I must know.
Let's transition it. This summer, someone asked me that question, and we're recapping summer wrap up. Kudos to you if you recognize that quote reference there.
It's probably from Community.
It's a deep cut. No, it's not from Community. It's from one of my top 5 TV shows. So we're talking about what happened summer of 2022. It wasn't a stutter. It was 2022. Movies, TV, comics, things we're excited about, things we liked, disliked. A big one we didn't really get to talk about was Thor: Love and Thunder, or what should have been called Thor 4 More Thor. Hashtag I will die on this hill. Thor 4, it was better than I thought. Me and Doug actually talked about it in the DMs quite a bit because we didn't get to have a show about it. But, I went in expecting the worst, and I actually got something that was kind of fun. And I'm a child, so I loved the Watiti-ness of it. I didn't get annoyed by the jokes. I enjoyed it.
Very Watiti.
I've been a comic book reader for a decade now, so the whole people had a problem with, Thor could have just given everyone Thor. By the way, spoilers. You got 3 seconds. Spoilers.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen it yet.
Thor could have given everyone beans.
Thor could have given everyone Valkyrie beans. Thor could have given everyone superpowers in Endgame. Why didn't he? Well, it's just the way things go, right? Like, I remember it was a big problem in Winter Soldier when everyone started asking, well, where was Iron Man? Why wasn't Iron Man helping with Winter Soldier? And it's like, because it's not his story. And it's just, hey, characters evolve. You might as well ask, why didn't Iron Man use nanobots in Iron Man 1? Like,
because Robert Downey Jr. is expensive, dude.
Yeah. So anyway, people had problems with that. Didn't faze me at all. I was pleasantly surprised. It was better than I thought it would be.
Yeah, you couldn't have that in Endgame anyway, because it would have completely diminished the moment when Cap reached out and Mjolnir flew to his hand, and Thor looks at him and goes, "Ha! I knew you were worthy."
Yep. And the directors actually came out and said in
perfect culminating moment of the entire MCU.
He didn't even say it. He said he just lit up and it was like, I knew it. And the directors, I don't know if it was the Russo brothers or someone else, actually said in Avengers 2, Steve could have lifted the hammer, but he chose not to save face with Thor. And like, that was cool too. So
that's what he said. I knew it.
He does move the hammer slightly.
He budges
worried about.
But
he moves it and he stops. But Thor's ego couldn't have handled it then. It would have crushed him. But he could by the end of by Endgame, he had moved beyond that, you know?
Yeah. So which by the way, I think they also answered in Thor 4, if you put Mjolnir on an elevator, does it move with the elevator? The answer is yes, because they had to, in order to get the pieces of Mjolnir together for the display, they had to dig up the earth underneath it. And then they were able to put all the pieces of the hammer on display. So yes, we now know officially in MCU canon. Yeah, it will move with the elevator.
It's great that to move Mjolnir, you must move the earth.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Or just the Vision. Does that prove is Vision worthy, or is he just like an elevator or the earth?
I think the elevator, because he's entirely synthetic.
Yeah. I think it doesn't register.
Because when I mean, from a theological perspective, when he first lifts it in the Avengers movie, he doesn't quote unquote have a soul at that point.
Yeah.
It's just an AI.
He can't be worthy or unworthy. He's an AI. Right. He has no morality, and so there is nothing to judge. That's what I read that made sense to me about why could Vision pick up the hammer. Is that he's a machine and he has no morality. Even though he does express morality, it's done from a analytical, logical, computer kind of point of view. So it still like works, but I mean, it's a comic book, so it doesn't have to all be perfect.
It's a comic book.
I mean, Thor 4 was. I thought we talked about the spoilers. Yeah, at the end there, when my God, I laughed through that whole scene. I was so happy and giddy. It was so amazing.
It brought me back to those cheesy. I mean, it was very Power Ranger-y. Even Shazam-y. Like in Shazam, I did not expect the family to come in at the end of the movie.
Yeah, dude.
Whatever. You should watch everything we're watching, guys. Okay. So and he has everyone. I mean, even Heimdall's son, that was fun. The little girl with the laser eye rabbit. I love.
Oh my gosh,
that was fantastic.
That anything could be a Mjolnir.
Yes,
I was like, holy crap! The whole world has opened up. You know, it's like, go find a quote weapon. I'll Mjolnirize it, and you guys can take the power of Thor, and they just wreck shop. It is amazing. All these little kids. Yeah, so good. But I will say this: the beginning of the movie, I had a hard time getting going, because it just felt like the when they got the actors doing the roles inside the movie, the play inside the play, and they're so bad. Like Matt Damon is in there, and all those guys. So that's funny, but it just felt like everything else kind of had that vibe as well. I couldn't tell.
There was a lot of exposition. I did not care. Peter Quill's, which the Guardians were pretty fun, but it seemed like they said we need to have call, refusal, and acceptance all within 45 seconds. So here it all is in Peter Quill's monologue to Thor. Like, I was like, did anyone else feel that?
Yeah, it felt like Chris Pratt kind of mailed it in a little bit, but the whole thing was quick, and it was like, oh, they're really not in this movie that much. They're really not.
Yeah, they're not. I think they wanted Thor. I think they wanted Thor in the next Guardians, and then the whole James Gunn thing happened. They delayed it, and they were like, well, now we have to figure this out. I think Thor should have been in the Guardians. I would love. There was like six Guardians. I think it was in 2014 or 15. Iron Man was in the Guardians for like 6 or 10 issues. That was a lot of fun. That was pretty cool. So I would love to see people join the Guardians for a season. I know
Guardians are a great canvas for anybody.
Who's the X-Men who the girl who can phase through things? I can't remember her name at the time. Kitty Pryde. Kitty Pryde was part of the Guardians for a little bit. That was cool too. Yeah, and she dated Peter. Yeah, and I think they were exes when she was with the Guardians for a season.
Yes,
I can't remember why, but yeah, that was. I mean, I love Guardian guests. I think those are fun. That would have been fun for Thor, but unfortunately, that's just a story that won't be told yet.
It's like when Batman and Robin visited Scooby-Doo and Friends.
Right.
I missed that one.
You missed that one?
I missed that one.
One of my favorites, man. Classic. You're too young for that.
There is one Thor movie in comics that hasn't been used in the movies, and I can't wait till they use it. and it's when he uses Mjolnir, and he's fighting somebody, and he wants them to stay put, and he literally leans over, puts Mjolnir on their chest, and says, "Stay put," and then he walks off and fights somebody else.
He's done it. He's done it.
It's just going to be hilarious when he does it.
Did he put it on Loki in the Dark Elves movie, Thor 2?
I think so. He's done that. He did.
Yeah, he put it on someone.
It's been a long time since I've watched that one, so maybe he has.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think brilliant,
it sounds
hilarious
familiar,
move. Stay put.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or I like in the video game, Avengers video game, Thor has a move where you can throw the hammer and stick someone to the wall. You throw it, it hits them, they go to the wall, and then they just stick there for a few seconds while you put someone else down. Yeah. That game, by the way, Avengers, I played that earlier this year. I don't know if it was the summer, but it's good for the single player. So if you don't mind, just stick it through the single player, dude. It is awesome. I've got a clip. I mean, these guys get how you should control Avengers. Like, there's general moves, you have range attacks, melee attacks, but they're so diverse in the way the Hulk does them, Hawkeye does them, Miss Marvel does them, Iron Man does them. And there's such a cool move that I captured where, like, I'm Steve Rogers, I'm Captain America, and I throw my shield. I throw my shield at enemy 1, and then I beat down enemy 2. And then I do a special move where he normally jumps up and like comes down and does like a ground pound. But the way I timed it was I hit enemy 1, I brawled enemy 2, and then I did the special move, which animated as Captain America catching the shield from move 1 and then ground pounding it. So it's like one smooth cut of just throwing the shield, beating someone, catching it, and ground pounding it. I got that clip saved. I'll put it in the group. That's
a totally comic book move,
until you get to the end game content where that game really takes a dive into the stuff you scrape off your kitchen burner. The single story campaign is great. I really enjoy that, the Avengers video game.
Awesome.
Anyways, Seth, tell me something that you were nerding about this summer.
Well, it's hard to think back. Like, there's so many things. Like, we already talked kind of about Obi-Wan and all those kinds of things that came out. And we that were really important to me. But something I did that I've been wanting to do for years that I am currently in the middle of. When I was when I was in 5th or 6th grade, I had these graphic novels from the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I had number 1, 2, and 3, and then my friend had 4, and we kind of shared them. And so, because they were expensive, $20 was a lot back then. We couldn't really buy that stuff. And so I've always wanted them. It's the original stories. It's back when they stabbed and killed. And these are like brutal Ninja Turtles. These are not like kill a bunga, dude. It's not those kind.
Yeah.
It's like, we're ninjas. We assassinate people. It's definitely like ridiculously hilarious, but also brutal and gruesome. And so I don't think my parents had a clue what was in there. They're like, oh yeah, watch that cartoon. Sure, you can have it. It's like cussing, it's all kinds of violence.
Yeah.
And so but the story is just so compelling and it's so interesting. And I finally found all of them and got them all, because they're really hard to find, the first print. And so I found first prints that are not in the best of shape all the time, but they're in decent shape. And so I've been reading through those again. I'm in book 3 now. So I've started reading through those in my spare time. And I've been reading a lot. I'm reading it's called Glass Sword. It's the second in the Red Queen series, which is kind of a young adult thing. My wife read the first one. She's like, you'll love this. So I started that, and I'm kind of into that. I've actually got Jurassic Park next. The book. I've never read the book.
Oh, okay. I heard that was good.
Yeah. So
in fact, I remember
some books.
Oh man, is that the one with the black cover and the red logo on the front? I think we used to have that. I think my mom read that.
I think the reissue is just a white cover, but yeah, it's got that same Jurassic Park classic logo on it. And it's I just saw somebody on TikTok talking about it, and they were like, this book is gruesome. It's like totally different. They really changed some stuff for the movie. I was like, man, I thought the movie was gruesome. I thought that was kind of scary, and I don't like gruesome stuff. Honestly, I really don't. Yeah. It's not a draw for me in anime or anything like that, but I just love those movies. I've always loved them. I don't really care for the newest ones as much, but the classic 1, 2, a little bit of 3, and I'm good. But I'm gonna start that book soon. So I've been kind of reading a lot. That's been kind of my thing this summer, which is
cool.
Weird. I guess.
Hey, that's whatever floats your boat.
I don't read a lot. I just suddenly got the hankering to read, and I read fast, so I just read a bunch.
Cool. Doug, what's on your mind? What do you want to share first here?
Well, the big thing is my 2 youngest nephews decided they wanted to learn to play Dungeons and Dragons. So I've been teaching them, and it's been a little harder than it would be normally because we're having to do it online because they're in Dayton, Ohio, and I'm in West Virginia. But they're loving it. They're into it. They've got beginner sets and minis, and yeah, I can tell they're going to go whole hog. So it's been a blast teaching them, and I've had to learn new stuff too since we're having to use virtual tabletop stuff.
Yeah,
that is a learning curve.
It is. I just made the decision, which we'll actually talk about because what I want to share next. But I've tried Roll20 and all those other. And there's another one I can't remember. Beyond
D&D Beyond.
D&D Beyond
is horrid.
Yeah,
really?
I just have a really hard time. I think if you know what you're doing, you can do a good job. I'm just so slow with it, and I just, again, growing up, when we played D&D, it was all right. Daniel's the penny, Ryan's the nickel, Chris is the quarter, and you're the bottle cap, or I'm the bottle cap. And then I just kind of draw a map on a piece of paper, and it's like, here's where we are. And, we didn't worry about line of sight too much or what the distance is. We kind of knew where things were, but like, you really had to get good at describing it and, taking actions and making those decisions on the fly. And the digital stuff is like, it almost gets in the way of the storytelling because you're trying to figure out how this works. And sometimes you're just like, well, I can't figure it out, but just picture this or whatever.
It can reduce it to like just sitting there trying to figure out mathematical equations.
Yeah. The last thing I want to do is more spreadsheets.
Yeah. I'm like, this is not what I'm here for. I'm here for dragons, not math. Come on.
Well, yeah. One of the hard things is like Roll20, where it's got the multiple layers of the map. You click the wrong thing and everything just vanishes off the screen, and the boards are like, I don't see.
Or you got something in the DM layer and you accidentally put it on the player layer. And like, oh, ignore that. Ignore that.
Yeah.
Well, since we were just doing some encounter stuff, I finally was just like, okay, DM layer, and you can see everything. It was just easier to teach them that way,
Yeah. I towards the end, and it's funny because when I stopped using stuff like that, it became more fun with my group. I had a great campaign. It was a 20 level campaign, Dilator's Dilemma. We played it with this group up until about level 13, right up to the dilemma. And then we never really got an answer on it because life just got in the way. But eventually I got to the point where like, all right, guys, we're going to play on a white screen and I'm just going to draw on the screen. And they still had player tokens. It was like, you put your players where you are. I'll tell you where monsters are. They died. I put an X there. There's a body there. They disappeared. I erased the markings, and we just had so much more fun. My DM campaigns, I'm a very improvisational DM, and my players know, like, it's funny that there's always one time when whenever they go shopping, I use random generators for everything, and I just make up characters often derived from TV show characters so I can remember who they are or how to play them. But Brock, I remember one time was like, I want to go talk to that gym salesman. And I'm like, what gym salesman? And he's like, the one I talked to a couple weeks ago. And I'm like, that guy's gone. Like every merchant in my campaign, every merchant in my campaigns are traveling merchants. Good luck. I don't know who it was.
Like inflation got him, dude. He got him. They had to close up.
Once we stopped using those tools, and I tell guys, I'm like, you can use the roller here, but we were all using paper, pencil. We had our character sheets in person. We rolled dice in person. We tracked health in person. Like we just kind of knew. We just didn't rely on that stuff because it's like then you have to find it and then edit it and then remember to go back for it. It was just a lot more fun when we just did it in person. But I understand if no one's ever showed you how to do it in person or how a character sheet operates, then you kind of got to do it in the thing so you can help them out. Yeah,
Well,
it's
it
just one
was
of
enough
those things
to,
I've never really caught on with.
well, it was enough that it locked them in. And there is a local gaming store in their town. So they're going and they're having beginner sessions on Saturday afternoon. So they're hoping to go over there.
Nice.
And and they're experimenting on their own. So
that's good.
The youngest was DMing for his older brother, and just about had a TPK apparently. So he was rejoicing in nearly killing all of his brother's characters. So
That stands for total party kill, by the way. For those who don't know,
that bit of joy he took.
TPK. There's a lot of acronyms you got to learn in D&D, which is Dungeons and Dragons, by the way.
It's not too bad. It's not too bad. Yeah, that's exciting. Go ahead. Okay, I'll go next. So I really want to get one of those younger.
I love technology.
They make role-playing games for younger people. Like there's a really popular one at my local comic shop. It's about cats. Like you RP as a cat, and like you have to defeat villains, which are other animals, to sabotage other schemes happening in the neighborhood. But it's super simple. It just uses D6s, which are 6-sided dice for the normies. They give you some pre-written campaigns, some how to create a character, but it's super simplified. And I mean, what young girl wouldn't want to play as a cat, or what young boy doesn't want to play as a dog? Like if it's an animal thing. I know My Little Pony, I think,
you're operating on the idea that dogs are boys and cats are girls. Is that what I'm understanding?
Absolutely. There's also a My Little Pony tabletop game, and if it's not My Little Pony, it's My Little Pony adjacent. So like I would love to. I think my daughter would pick up one of those. I don't know if she would pick up D&D, but she would pick up one of those. I think
there's a lot of cool tabletop games that are out now. I mean, pick your fandom. Lord of the Rings, Star Wars, Harry Potter.
I played one. I played one at the comic shop. They had every Saturday they have like a game trial, and they were doing this game, and it was essentially non-branded Teen Titans, where you played teen superheroes and you have like a accident that gave you your powers, and then how it developed you and your internal conflict. And I played a teenager that was researching a role on a criminal he was going to play, and he got involved in a street crime of dealing some kind of a new drug, and I took it or got in my blood or something, and gave me Hulk powers. Like that was like the character I was playing. It was a lot of fun. It's sometimes a toss up when you go play with randoms at the comic shop, but that was a fun game. I can't remember what it was called, but it was fun. And Teen Titans, and Marvel just released one. They're play testing it on Marvel Unlimited. If you have Marvel Unlimited, you can get the book on the app and start play testing the new Marvel role-playing game.
That's awesome.
I'm hoping it's good, because other than the one that was originally released by TSR in the 80s, the Marvel role-playing games have been really bad.
I haven't played any other ones.
I played a Star Wars Epic Duels with my brother, and it's kind of a role player, but it's more of it's a card-based game. It's more like a Magic or Pokemon type thing, but it's got a board and you still got pieces and stuff, but you get together and you fight and you dominate the galaxy and all that. But it's card turn-based and it's fun too. But Star Wars tends to have really good ones. Lord of the Rings has incredible ones from what I hear.
I played one session of the Star Wars role-playing game from, I can't remember if it was the late 80s or early 90s. It was old. It was like my friend's older brother's book. It was very complicated, especially the spaceship battles, but it was awesome. It was a lot of fun.
They are fun. Star Wars, any fandom that's really good at world building already is going to have a good. They're going to do good stuff usually. Like Marvel doesn't world build necessarily. I mean, they've started.
I mean, they character build, and you kind of. I haven't opened Marvel Unlimited in months. I'm only subscribed because I bought an annual subscription for the last every December. It just auto renews. I'm actually debating turn off the auto renewal because I'm just getting bored with what's coming out, but I'm going to check that out. And speaking of role playing, something I'm very excited for, and I was literally like earlier this week
You got
I was like, I need to put time into this. I got the Adventurer's Guide to the Bible, which is biblical D&D essentially.
Oh my gosh.
This book is gorgeous. I'm going to put me full screen here because I'm not full screen in the recording.
What kind of monsters do you fight in that book?
I'll show you. Oh, that's not full screen. Well, actually, do I go to me? Nope, that's full screen. Hang on, guys. Technology. Pin me.
Does it use like, here's what angels really look like?
So
like that's
the gist of it is it gives you characters, monsters, locations. This is basically a player guide and a DM guide and a monster manual all in one. Ideally they'd be separated, but I can understand why they didn't do it all. But it takes place, I believe, the campaign they give you takes place during what's it called? The silent period between the Old Testament and New Testament. What's the
of course.
What's the official name of it? I can't remember. Anyways, the 400 years. And so I haven't read like everything, but first of all, this is gorgeous. So the villains are the gardener, who is Beelzebub, the buried queen, who is Mammon, the collector, which is like the Legion. But like, look at this. If you ever played any official D&D stuff, you know that this book is straight up an homage to that. So like, here's the villains
that fits.
Here's the characters you could play, like a bard. Like, this thing is gorgeous. And if you're listening, just go look it up. But yeah, I don't know exactly how spell casting works, but I know there is spell casting.
You're not really supposed to do that in the Bible.
No, you're not. But hey, something Christian liberty, right?
I think it's pretty direct though.
Yeah. Oh, and the different races you can play as a Nephilim or a giant.
Oh my gosh. That's kind of awesome.
It is amazing. It is legit.
Can you play
it's got a campaign here, so like the story begins.
Can you be David, like AKA Bible Captain America?
I'm sure you could be a human named David.
He is Bible Captain America though. That dude, he's like, I've killed lions and bears with my bare hands. I'm like, how?
Yeah, how? It's got and there, all this is available on PDF too at Drive-Thru RPG.
Samson's the Hulk.
So and then classes. Okay, so spell casting. Because like you can be a wizard. I don't know if I'll be able to look at like why spell casting is a thing or how it's a thing. And I was a backer, so I got like spell cards and like a giant sheet. But then like also the campaign stuff, like it has maps in here, and there's digital versions of all this, of the town of Babylon, and just all the different places that you can go. There's like a Tournament of Champions chapter that you go through, and you have to like compete like a gladiator.
Interesting.
It is insane. Okay, so the monsters. Let's see here. Okay. Oh, the spells, Seth. You would love the spells because they are so, for lack of a better word, cheesy. So the spells. Okay, I'm gonna just name some spells off.
Nehemiah is Tony Stark.
There's a spell called Covenant, which you make a promise binding any number of creatures you choose to a magic covenant.
Oh my gosh.
There's the spell. There's the spell, every knee shall bend. You speak one of the names of God to a creature who can hear you. They have to make a wisdom saving throw, else they're unable to stand up. That spell again is every knee shall bend.
Dude,
there's a spell called Induce Gluttony. You point at a morsel of food, ale, or dessert, and every creature has to roll against your magic of temptation. And if they fail, they are charmed by you, and they have overwhelming hunger to use an overwhelming urge to move and eat the food and drink as fast as possible to consume it. So it's essentially a distraction spell called Induce Gluttony.
Oh my gosh. So as the good guy, you can force someone to sin.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
Awesome.
There's a spell. Okay, a couple more. There's a spell, Turn the Other Cheek. Whenever you take damage from a creature's attack, you can use your reaction to turn the other cheek to your attacker. The attacking creature must succeed a wisdom saving throw, or it is turned for the duration, meaning it has to get away from you as far as possible.
What is this? Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's wild, man.
I love it because it's like cheesy in name, but not in execution. Because these are like legit spells. It's just cheesily named. One more. Actually, magical items. There's the Amulet of Babel. There's the Amulet of Priestly Blessing. Of course, there's a Bag of Holding. There is a Breastplate of Righteousness. Is a magic item.
Whole armor of God somewhere. That's got to be the best
+2
armor.
bonus to your AC, your armor class, and critical hits against you count as a regular hit. So there you go.
Do you find the Sword of the Spirit from the Lady in the Lake?
Let me see. Sword of the Spirit, maybe. But there's cursed silver pieces. I wonder where those came from.
Oh man, are there 30 of them? Collect all 30. It's like the Miriam's Stones of Baranziah.
Miriam's Cup from the Book of Numbers.
Okay.
Let's see. Of course, Potion of Healing, Potion of Water Breathing. We got all those. Ring of Pharaoh. Oh, here we go. There's the different rings, right? Ready? Real quick. One lightning round. Ring of Shadrach's Faith. Ring of Daniel's Faith. Ring of the Pharaoh. Ring of the Scapegoat. And Ring of Second Chances. Sarah's lucky necklace. Look at that.
I honestly, I just don't know what to think, because there's so much here that's like, I love the D&D style of this. Like, that's fun to me. But also with some of this feels sus.
Some of it feels like 90s or early 2000s when we had Guitar Hero, we had Worship Hero, Churchopoly.
Churchopoly.
You know,
like, here's how you really screw over your congregants.
But then they come back and like, okay, here's the monster manual. Look at that. Leviathan.
Oh yeah.
Beautiful artwork. All Leviathan, the stats.
Behemoth's got to be in there.
Let's see other things. Let's see here. You can fight a mage, a magi, a murex. I don't know what that is.
Is the Witch of Endor in there?
A mushu. A mushu. Okay, a dragon. You can fight a splendor dragon. The mushu. Night spirits.
We're getting
a Nile crocodile. That's not a joke
here.
Nile crocodile.
Yeah, well, that's legit.
Queen. Okay, that she must be a boss. I don't want to spoil that. Seraph serpent. A deadly creature known as a seraph exists in almost every culture, and then this is a serpent. There you go, seraph serpent. I mean, this is like, I can understand, right? Because if you're sitting here making a book about spells and monsters to a Christian audience, or at least a spiritual audience, you got to be careful, right? I mean, you can't name it like, I mean, you could probably name it Beelzebub's curse or whatever, or blessing, but it gets a little touchy. So like, why don't we play it safe, and instead of calling it inflict wounds or you know, whatever.
Yeah. It feels a little bit like when a band says the word Jesus and then everybody goes, they're a Christian band, a little bit to me.
Yeah, maybe. Ooh, look at this. Teferi and Tannin. I mean, the artwork is gorgeous. I mean, look at that.
That's a big scorpion.
Cool.
Yeah. I'm so excited. I need to okay, and here's from the back of the book. Okay. Cleopatra is dead. Rome and Parthia struggle for control of the Fertile Crescent in a bid for world domination, while local politics in the Middle Kingdoms becomes increasingly divisive. The prophecies of the so-called Messiah have been long forgotten, and an ancient evil lurks in the shadows, corrupting the hearts of mankind. 3 of the wisest mystics of the Order of the Magi traveled to Bethlehem following a star they believed to be a sign. They never returned. Hope grows dim as the world descends into darkness. What we need are answers, and these brave and those brave enough to seek them. This features an immersive campaign setting, including dozens of new options for player characters and a myriad of spells, monsters, and magic items steeped in history to bring the world of the first century to life at the table. Cooperative storytelling is as old as the Bible itself, and now you can step into the action. Everything's included, including the campaign setting, which includes an original storyline that opens with the search for the 3 missing magi, and eventually brings the party into conflict with both human and supernatural evil seeking the corruption of the world. This campaign runs parallel to the events of the Bible, so many of the people and places may feel familiar, but the plot unfolds in a way that allows the players to tell a story that is all of their own. So I guess just toward the tail end of the quiet period.
Huh.
Mm-hmm.
So that's Adventurer's Guide to the Bible. You can get it on Drive-Thru RPG. I also got spell cards. I also got a giant poster map and all the digital files. You can get the player's guide and the monsters guides and all the different all the place settings on digital as well. I backed it like a year ago. I honestly did not think it would come to fruition, but they raised, I think, almost $1 million and reached a lot of stretch goals. So it's pretty cool.
You dropped in their Kickstarter.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was on Kickstarter.
You've known this for a while. Then it's coming out. I didn't
yeah.
know
Oh yeah. We've talked about it a little bit in the groups, but yeah, I just got the printable maybe a couple weeks ago. The printed book.
Okay. Awesome. Well, Doug.
Anyways, I spent way too much time on that, but I'm very excited for that. And I know some other guys in the group want to run a campaign. I said I had retired from DMing because it was taking too much time, but I might have to come out of retirement. You can call me Brett Favre of Christian DMing.
I don't have any sports ball jokes.
Talking about Dungeons and Dragons a bit, what do y'all think about the announcement of 5.5?
I hadn't heard of that announcement. That's how much out of the world I am. And if it's anything like 3 to 3.5, I hate it.
Yeah, well, they're getting ready to release playtest stuff, and rumor is from what it looks like, they're going to tie it in very, very hard with D&D Beyond, and as before, limit the traditional races so they can tag IP races and control the content.
I did read something on this. This jogged my memory. There's not going to be any more digital codes for the books on the physical books. So you're gonna have to get everything digital, right? Isn't that one of the updates?
I just heard what I've heard there. I haven't heard any of the rest. So
I haven't heard anything about it. I learned, my whole friend group learned on 3rd edition when 3.5 came out. We did a lot of updates, and it was very hard because there were such nuanced updates that didn't really fix anything. It fixed maybe a couple things. I shouldn't be so dramatic, but it fixed a couple things, and then it just confused a lot of other things. And so if 5 to 5.5 is any different, maybe 5 stays as like we're playing this in person because we already have all the books and stuff, whereas 5.5 is maybe things are made easier for the online. But that's also what they did with 4th edition. 4th edition was to make it more like a video game at the table, and everyone hated it. It was a huge flop. I mean, it was just it was a massacre. It really was. No one upgraded to 4th edition. It was awful. So hopefully 5.5 does it right.
Yeah, I'm too new to know the difference. I know that in our party right now we're on level 11 and we are basically God mode.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I'm like, we took out a dragon. We basically held a dragon while we looted its dungeon. One of our players held a dragon and then we left.
Yeah, that might be there's a fine line. The highest I've ever DM'd is level 18. It's really hard as a DM to scale with players because it's so fragile. The calculations you have to do. Now 5th edition made it a little bit easier. 3rd edition, you used to have a bar chart, and you'd have to know, okay, if you're level 5, you can have 1 level 6 or 4 level 5, but don't go more than like 12 level 4s because that can TPK everyone. But also you got to be careful with how you DM. because like a level 18 or excuse me, a level like even 11 or 12 level monster, you have to play it differently because you're not just playing with larger attack and health. You also have to play because they have a different kind of move set that challenges the players in a unique way. And if you don't scale it, if you just scale your monsters with more health or because I've made this mistake with more health and higher AC, it's not going to be any challenge by the time you get past level 8. It's you really have to play it differently. And that's where the part is like, I can't keep doing this because you really have to study the monsters, their move sets, their behaviors.
That's what our DM did. He had to adjust because like we went like 3 campaigns, they're 6 hours a piece. So, you're doing this and not one person took damage.
Yeah.
We didn't even take
it's
damage.
Tough. Like,
no,
you could fight a dragon, but really what a dragon fight should look like is the dragon should have minions. And then the dragon should also never touch the ground. It should have, if you're in its lair, it should have key points where it's coming down and swooping with its dragon flame. And then possibly more minions comes out. It maybe moves to a different room where there's traps. Like there should be a whole thing. So you're not just fighting a level 18 monster or a dragon, or even like if it's a young dragon level, whatever it is, 13 or 14, like it should have moving pieces that challenge the player and not just be like a 1-on or a 1-on-5.
We snuck in there before he knew we were there. We grabbed him and then we took out all the minions and then we left. And that was it. It was like, we're kind of awesome guys, but it also wasn't as like, it wasn't as engaging, is either, but he learned from that. Our DM learned from that. And the next time he came in, he had way too much going on.
It's tough. It's tough.
Some DMs is if they're not real experienced, that they'll forget that dragons have 4 attacks per turn. Not even counting whatever minions might be going on and whatever magic they might use. Because they've got claw, bite,
resistances, and vulnerabilities.
And the fear aura. How old was the dragon you all were fighting?
I don't even know. Like I don't even know what it was. We didn't even ask.
If the dragon was using its fear aura, you wouldn't be standing there holding him.
It was like a mat.
Because every turn you have to make a saving throw.
Yeah, it was like a level 3 spell of one of our guys, and it was just like I forget what he calls it. It's like it's not a hand, but it's a bubble. Literally, it's a bubble you hold him in.
Yeah.
As long as he concentrates on it, it's done. And there was no limit to what size creature he could have. And I mean, I'm a ranger, so I'm so I'm just like, whatever, man, we're out of here.
I have abused magic as a character many times. So,
So anyways,
one of my favorite things to do was to ask the DM to tell me exactly what the volume was of the hallway we were getting ready to enter through the door. And he'd be like, I don't know. I said, I need exact measurements because I'm getting ready to crack the door, toss a fireball through it, and the fighter's going to slam the door to. And a fireball expands to a 60-foot diameter, so you have to do the math on the volume. Because whatever's in the hallway is fried.
Well, whatever level we're on, as a monster hunter ranger, basically is what I am. And we have an answer for everything.
Oh yeah, no, I
really
understand.
That's the nature of that character is that you're a monster hunter. You have an answer for everything. You're you're the Witcher, basically, and you know how to stop all
I would love a Witcher tabletop campaign.
If you really want to see a character unbalance a party, let someone play a necromancer and get to about 11th level. Yeah, it's not pretty what they do to the game.
Dead people everywhere walking around.
Yeah. For us, it was a rogue. We had a guy that was a rogue, and then cross-classed with some magic thing, and basically he just never not had sneak attack. And even if the enemy was like staring at him, he would do some kind of combination to where he would just magically end up behind him, just always all the time. Before you got sneak attack, always.
Like I've got something called alert, you cannot surprise me. It's
Yeah,
like I cannot be surprised. So there is no surprise attack for me.
right.
Which
Yeah.
means
And
I'm
so
always ready to fight.
yeah, exactly.
It's awesome.
So here's some TV shows that I've watched in the summer because I've had so much time. The Terminal List, that was a great show.
That was awesome.
Chris Pratt.
That was Chris Pratt.
Yeah.
It was the Winter Soldier of Amazon TV shows. It was really good. Special forces uncovering a government conspiracy with lots of guns. It was great show. Can't say
You gotta admit that ending, while you can start to see it come. Now, I'm not going to spoil anything, but you can start to see it coming. But it is the perfect ending, and you understand why it happens.
Yep.
It's just, Seth, if you have not watched the show, it's well worth the 8 hours to watch it.
Yep.
It's a long one. Me and my wife started it, but she was like, I'm not into it. So we stopped, and I didn't come back to it.
It's what we call in my household a dude show.
Now, the first episode,
we have our lady shows and we have our dude shows.
Yeah.
Well, the first episode, it's really, really confusing, Seth. So if you get to episode 2, it becomes more understandable.
Yeah.
Because the first episode's got all kinds of flashbacks.
Speaking of kind of military or whatever, I watched The Old Man. It's not a show I would typically watch. It's about a retired CIA guy who then again gets hunted in a conspiracy. But it was recommended. It's got Jeff Bridges playing the old man. And it's a little bit like CIA Red. You remember the movie Red with all the old action heroes? It was like that, but with CIA. It's like everyone's coming out of retirement. It's got John Leguizamo in it. And they have a history together. It was really good. I was like one of those movies, like, I'm glad I watched it. I probably wouldn't go out of my way to watch it if I knew what it was, but it was still a good adventure on the way. Just like Blackbird. Anyone see that? Tom Pounder recommended that to me. It's on Apple TV, so not many people won't be able to watch it, but it's a lot like True Detective. Did y'all watch that on HBO?
No.
Man, okay. I'm just hitting the niche shows here. How about this? Y'all ever read any Philip K. Dick? Any of his short stories?
Yes.
We're just rolling through here. Kill All People. Kill All Others.
Is it Soviet Green, his short story?
I can't tell you. I don't want to lie to you. I'm sure someone will bing it.
Might be. But
anyway.
I
know a lot of people know him from Kill All Others, which is very applicable to today's political climate. But Amazon made a series of TV shows. It's much like, it's basically Black Mirror the next season, but it's based off of actual stories that have been proven to be good and well liked. Very good. Philip K. Dick's Electric Dreams on Amazon. It's awesome. Okay. Only Murders in the Building. Someone has to have watched that. Oh, that's such a good show. Steve Martin Short in a comedy murder mystery. Come on. So good.
Kara, my wife, has seen it. She loves it and keeps telling me I need to see it. And I'm like,
my dad was the same way until I watched it. And now I'm the same way until my wife watched it. Now my wife's telling her work friends to watch it. It's really good. It's really, really good. It's basically these what do you call the murder mysteries? True crime.
It's a whodunit.
Yeah, it's a whodunit, but it's funny because they're true crime fanatics who then get involved in a murder in the building, and then they become the true crime podcasters trying to solve it. But of course, Steve Martin Short, and Selena Gomez, which is an interesting third wheel.
Yeah.
A lot of fun. Very good.
Combo.
Can't recommend it enough. As we're shooting, the finale of season 2 is next week. And that was really good.
I was watching Stranger Things this summer.
Stranger Things. I haven't gotten to it yet. It's so far down my list. Because I put it off because I wanted to watch the entirety of season 4. I didn't want to watch half and then the other half. I didn't care for that with Ozark. So I said, I'm going to wait till it all comes out. And people are like, well, the last 2 episodes are like a movie, 2 movies.
Yeah. They are.
So I'm just
They're
like,
really
man, when am I going to have time to really get that done? So it's on my list. It just keeps burying.
There's 8 episodes. You really have 10
episodes.
Any
episodes of it.
But it was like, I worried about that too. You know, like, I don't want to be left off here, but I'm going to watch it because that's what I do. And my kids love it and they watch it, you know, so we all watch pretty much together as a family. So when we got done with it, I was satisfied with where it landed. Like, I didn't feel like man, what a cliffhanger. It was a cliffhanger because we didn't know they were going to do another season. We thought that was it. Like we didn't have a clue. I don't know if anybody else did, but we didn't know. So when they left it, we were like, they can't stop it there. Surely not. So we're obviously immediately on the internet, okay, there's going to be another season. This is only half the season. Okay, cool. And so there's that relief of like, oh, that was okay. Then that was good.
Yeah.
But if you didn't know, like we didn't at first, you're like, oh my gosh, there's no way this series is over. At least the season.
Yeah.
Much less the series.
Yeah, that's so good. I watched the first half of Ozark, and then they released the final half like half a year later, and I'm just like, I don't like that. Like, I can deal with I can deal with weekly. I would prefer weekly releases, but half and half, I don't like.
The series that did that to me, I'm still waiting on the dub, is Attack on Titan. They had the last season of Attack on Titan, and then I watched that in sub, and I can do it. I just prefer not to, and I know people judge however you like. I don't care, but I like dubs, and so I waited for the dub
me too,
of the last season, and so I watched that half, and there's another half coming. I'm like, man, come on, and it takes forever. At least Stranger Things is coming out, December or whenever. But gosh, the Attack on Titan is taking forever.
Yeah, they're gonna make me.
They're gonna make me read the book. That's what they're gonna do. They're gonna make me read the manga, and I'm gonna go get it and find out.
That's how I am a little bit with The Boys. That is, man, that makes Game of Thrones look like Sesame Street. But great show. I just love how it's gritty and real life, but not in like a Dark Knight gritty in real life. I mean, like, if superheroes were real, they would be celebrities, not superheroes. And that's how they treat the stories. And it is, man, third season, I had to pause it for a couple times because I'm like, I cannot, this is it. I'm not gonna be able to finish it.
And that's great, but it's precisely what I don't like about it. And that's why I stopped watching. I don't like that. I like the otherworldliness of the hero, man. I like it to be not, I don't want it to be real. I can see that anytime.
Yeah, true. I mean, but you don't see the worst
human behavior anywhere.
True, very true. But I watch these shows, and then I watch Emergency Awesome and Heavy Spoilers on YouTube. Two guys that I thoroughly enjoy that do episode breakdowns. And when they say like, this is great in the comics, just letting you know it's a little bit different. This is how they do it. And I look at that and I'm like, that would have been a better story. I understand why they couldn't put it on screen that way. So now I want to go back and read all the Boys omnibus, but I don't even know if my library would have that. I would tell Doug, like, all the old comics, I just get them from my library, or I order them and do the library transfer because someone's got it. And I don't even know if they would have the Boys. It's that mature.
Our library has
I've watched that, and it's really good. It's really good. What shows over the summer? We've already talked about Obi-Wan and all that.
Well, we need to talk about yesterday's show. Have you guys watched She-Hulk yet?
Yeah, I watched the first episode. I liked it.
What did you think? I mean, I liked it because it was like the John Byrne run on She-Hulk, breaking the fourth wall. She did it before Deadpool. She did it better than Deadpool's ever done.
Oh,
and I love the comedy in it. Huh?
Disagree on that, but go ahead.
Okay. Well,
yeah,
but I mean, I like the comedy in it. I didn't really like the Captain America subplot. I could have.
Yeah, that was a bit much. When that happened, I was kind of hoping I could watch this with my daughter, but I don't want to have that conversation just yet.
And some people have been like, "Oh, well, it's because it's girl better, girl this," but Jen always had better control of her Hulk than Bruce did in the comics.
Yeah,
she never had those issues, and as
they ran through it.
Said, yeah. Go ahead, Seth.
Well, they ran through it real quick and didn't do a whole lot of explanation. And I guess somewhere in there is where Bruce got control of and became Smart Hulk.
But then he talked about it.
But then he talked about how it's been that way for 2 years. I'm like, wait, I thought you just did that. That was confusing to me. But
I think what it is.
But I was also like, who cares? it's big green people,
right.
Enjoy it. And so that's kind of my attitude with a lot of stuff.
Well, what I took for is timeline was he got control during the blip, like he said.
Yeah.
But the 2 years is 2 years after Endgame.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. I was having a hard time following the timeline a little bit because it started with present and then immediately went into flashback, and I was like, flashback to when?
A few months ago.
And then some crazy things happen, and you're like, whoa, what is that? You know, which I'm sure they'll unpack a little bit in the rest of the series.
Yeah, well, the thing that I didn't get was a good intro. Spaceship in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. It's like,
and it's Sicarian and no one's attacking it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like,
that's what I'm saying. It's like, I think they'll unpack all that, but which I think could be really interesting, you know, for her, you know, to deal with it instead of Bruce, or Bruce is dealing with it and, you know, brings her along or whatever it is. But
there was some talk that it kind of lays out, like, granted, middle of nowhere, maybe it was just somehow tracking Bruce, but they're saying that it could be a subtle lead into World War Hulk. Like maybe they were delivering the message that, hey, your son is born, or something like that.
Well, and I'm looking
to be so good
later episodes, because we do get Daredevil, and that is not a spoiler. That's been announced.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, in the trailer. My thing was, I don't like stories, and it is unfortunate that they do it with women, and I can understand why people say that. I think they take it too far. But the reason why I liked Miss Marvel so much is because everyone said it's going to be like She-Hulk is, where she gets her powers and she just starts using them. But Miss Marvel had struggled. She had to learn how to use her powers. In She-Hulk, like that whole first episode could have been 3 episodes to show us some struggle, to show us some development. Instead, the first episode was almost like a self-contained movie. Like, yeah, she learned her powers and then she used them in a courtroom. Great. Like, this would have been a great time to have the first 3 episodes come out, because I don't see where anything is going. I don't care about the next episode. She's got her powers. Great. Maybe it's more Superman. Like, most of her struggles are going to be internal, which I don't really care for. I don't care for internal philosophical struggles. I like external struggles. And so that's why I'm not a huge Superman fan, because a lot of his struggles are philosophical and internal.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was going to say.
So, like, again, it's like,
I think it's going to be like him too.
She gets in a fight at the end, and she just lays out a can of whoop booty, and that's it. The episode's over, and I'm like, okay, who is this superhero? I don't care who this villain is. She just got her butt handed to her. Like I don't care. And Tatiana had a lot more development before she came out in the John Burns run, and, you know, a little bit of like crossways, but instead she just comes out swinging. We don't know why. You know, apparently she hasn't hulked out in a few months, but she just does it so inherently and just does it so well. It's just like, again, like, she had to learn her powers, but she learned them so quick. We didn't get to see a lot of the struggle and development, the earning of them. She just kind of has them now. And you know, it's like one of those things where, like, even Hulk is like, you know, in the trailers were incredibly misleading, because in the trailers, like, Hulk is like, you know, I'd respect you if you go to be a lawyer, making it in the trailer look like he's saying that because she's so much better than him and he can't stand it. He's so jealous and egotistical about it. When really he's like, you know what? I have to accept that you picked this up a lot faster than I have. And you know what? I don't have to keep you here anymore. If you want to go be a lawyer, I'll respect that. Because, like, I thought I had so much to teach you, but you picked it up so much faster. Totally different from the trailer and what the actual show was. It's just like, it was its own self-contained story. And I don't care what happens next, because they didn't give me anything. They didn't give me a cliffhanger. They didn't bait a hook or anything. They didn't open up a mystery box. And I was like, I would love to have more at the offset. I'm sure they're going to get into all that in the future. There should have been another episode. It was a great 40 minutes. It should have been an hour and a half, or it should have been 3 episodes dropped at once.
The one thing in the episode that really made no sense to me was her going on and on about maintaining her secret identity kind of thing, because secret identities are not a thing in the MCU. Other than Peter, everybody else is out in the open.
Yeah. I feel like it was it'll be a fun show. You know, and like Doug said, you know, she picked it up faster in the comics. I mean, that's canon. You know, I didn't read that comic, so I'm, you know,
I think a cool thing think
that's the way it was. Cool.
I think they laid it out. But a cool thing I think they did, especially was on the differences. You know, he says like, you know, we're the same, but we're different. Where I think there's something there where the Hulk has dual personalities.
Yes.
Like men are very compartmentalized, but she picks it up and integrates them both because men are like waffles and women are like spaghetti. You know, that old Christian
I don't
book.
think it's a men and women thing. I think it's just, it's a lot to do, I think, with how they both got their powers. And, you know, it has a lot to do with just their personal DNA makeup. They made an allusion to that, you know, and so I feel like it's just, we're just different. And this is, you don't have somebody else with a hand on the wheel is how he put it. And he's like, I'm struggling with this of, am I this guy? Am I this guy? And that's always been the Hulk, you know, which has always been interesting about the Hulk. But for her, she's like, no, I'm just me. And I can do this big green thing. And that's more like a power I can turn on and off rather than I struggle with this. So her struggle is going to be the Superman struggle of how do I not hurt people? How do I, you know, interact in the world as a regular person with it, with all this? And I agree with you, Justin. I think that like that, because of that about Superman, that's less interesting to me. But
one of the things about Hulk,
she's funny,
is he's like you're saying, Seth, he's always had these multiple personalities in the comics. And one of the best runs on Hulk was the Peter David run, where he plays the mob boss in Las Vegas as Grey Hulk.
Hulk,
it's just absurd to think of the Hulk being a mob boss, but he was.
Yeah. Now everything you said, Seth, flies in the face of Savage She-Hulk. Did John Burns write Savage She-Hulk? Do you remember, Doug?
The original series he did not,
because Savage She-Hulk is her blindly hulking out, right? She has no control.
Well, what she's not accepting, and what Bruce is really trying to tell her is we as Hulks go through these stages, and eventually, yes, Jennifer will lose control.
Yeah,
I mean, in the comics, unless they fixed it in the comics now, she is a dumb Hulk.
Yeah, and that's always been a problem with MCU Hulk as well, because they don't show any of that development either. I mean, he just pulls out a binder and you just have to accept, hey, hey, by Avengers 1, he was able to control his anger and become Hulk. And then, hey, by Infinity War, he was able to turn it on, and Endgame, he was able to be Smart Hulk. And there's no in between. Even Ragnarok is like, what's the difference there, you know? So I mean, that's another thing that MCU Hulk, they did not do well with him either.
During the Ragnarok period, he lost control for 2 years.
Right.
I've loved what they've done with this Hulk. I mean, Mark Ruffalo as the Hulk, I feel like has given it more dimensions and more interest and just you're right. They don't explain anything about the Hulk. And I think that's because, God, even in the comics, from what I have read, it's complicated to understand like what's really going on with that character.
It is very complicated.
It's
like, I mean, Hulk in the comics is so much better.
Yeah,
I like Hulk in the comics because he's more nerdy. Hulk in the comics is way more nerdy, and he's not as suave, aloof, funny guy that you want to hang out with. Like, no one likes Bruce Banner in the comics. They put up with him.
Yeah,
right.
And I'm loving the Smart Hulk version. I mean, in Endgame and all that Infinity War, I was like, I had no idea. Because I didn't read a lot of Hulk, right? So I have no idea that Smart Hulk is even a thing. And here he is sitting at a table. Hey guys, how's it going? I'm like, what is this? What is going on? This is stupid. And then I just came to love how he interacted with everybody around him, having this massive strength and bumbling through it, and being the barefooted guy, hippie guy walking out in the woods giving away tacos. I love that. And seeing him being the mentor and going, wow, you're kind of getting this faster than me. I don't know what to do. You know, not knowing what to do is interesting for Smart Hulk.
Yeah.
So I liked it. I feel like I think it's one of those shows that in itself, the She-Hulk is a fringe enough character that it's going to be kind of difficult to really buy in. But I think it's going to be one of those shows that brings in so many other interesting characters to work with that it's going to make that a really interesting show. We already saw Daredevil. We'll probably see. Honestly, I expect to see.
It's going to have. It's going to have Abomination. It's going to have Daredevil. It's going to have
Kingpin.
We already know.
We're going to deal with
Kingpin. Maybe Kingpin's going to be an Echo. I believe he's going to be really involved in Echo. He is,
but I mean, here we are as a lawyer. I mean, who deals with lawyers more than Kingpin?
And that's the other thing too, is I have, and it's one of those things. I know I've gone on and on about the things I like and don't like, but honestly, I don't have a judgment yet because I think this first episode was just so meh. I don't want to make a judgment. I could either, the next 2 episodes could be great and I'll be like, yes, finally, I love it. Finally, I can say I like it. Or the next 2 episodes could just be vomit. And I'm like, man, that first episode was the best episode. Or I could look back and say that first episode was the worst episode. Keep watching. It's going to get better. Like, it's like one of those things like, well, is it going to be like The Office where you watch the first episode and you're like, this is it? Like, I mean, the first episode of The Office, even the first 6 episodes was just meh. But then it got really good. It got its legs. So, I don't know. I'm reserving whether I like it or dislike it. It exists in my mind. And there are things that I like. There are things I didn't like. The CGI, I thought it was better, but I purposefully watched it on my phone because the CGI was so bad in the trailers. So the CGI didn't bother me watching it on my phone.
Okay. I'm glad you brought that up. Something in the nerd fandom world, you may have caught wind of this or something, that Marvel's coming under a little bit of fire about that because they're pushing stuff out so fast. The people who do the CGI are like, we don't have the time and resources to do this work well. So that's why it looks like
they're it sounds like they're crunching, if you know what the video game crunching is. And then what I also heard on top of that, Seth, is they're replicating CGI scenes and they're doing it 3 different ways. And so these guys are crunching, and then they're saying their scene isn't even chosen. Yeah, they do like one, like, all right, let's do She-Hulk that looks like this, and then let's do a CGI She-Hulk, and then let's do we put a 7-foot Olympian girl that you're gonna paint over her, and then we're gonna do another version of her, and then they're only gonna choose one of them. They're gonna choose one that looks good, or hey, we're gonna do one where Thor's holding in his right hand. And so so it's not even like, I mean, eventually there's some morality part that these guys that are doing it, granted, I don't even know if they watch the show, but these houses that are these graphics houses that are doing it, they don't even know if their stuff's going to be used. And so, I mean, why would they do a good job, So they're already being overworked, overpushed, and crunched, and they don't even know if they're going to have it. I think phase 4 is tough. And thankfully, I think they recognized that they went way too much quantity over quality, which normally I say go for quantity, but I think they realized what they didn't want is to have so much quantity. Feige can't have a firm thumb over it. And so instead of getting good Marvel shows, you get a Watiti movie, you get TV shows that are way too much about what the creator wants and not so much like, when they had Ant-Man was written by I can't remember that writer, and they fired him because they were like, you're not doing too much of what we want. You're doing too much of what you want. Can't remember his name. I'll know his name when I hear it off the top of my head. And so I think they gave the creators too much and they couldn't rein them in because there was so much to rein in.
I think also they're looking at what's going on with like Mandalorian as well and how they film as well as how they direct, because the Mandalorian, has one showrunner or 2 showrunners, and then they have these different directors that come in. And I think they're looking at that and going, with that type of technology, because I saw some of it in Thor, Thor 4. Yeah. I mean, they use that kind of the round or whatever they call it. I forget what it's called, but the same kind of stuff they use, the motion backgrounds, the digital backgrounds as part of what they're doing in Thor. And I'm like, it's different than the rest of it. And you can tell. And it's like, done Star Wars style with the kind of dark Western grit, it kind of works a little bit better than it does with bright, happy, funny, goofy clown Thor, and it doesn't really.
You can hide rough spots in darkness.
Yeah. And plus, then you rush things like Marvel does, like Star Wars. It's not doing anymore, thankfully.
And the pandemic part in it. Someone on TikTok showed a timeline. They were filming like 7 of these shows all at once. Like Thor was being filmed at the same time as Loki. Like what in what world is that true? Or Miss Marvel was filmed at the same time as Loki. And it's like these shows are appearing 2 years apart, but they were filmed at the same time. And so I think that's part of the quality control. They couldn't oversee everything. And so you got stuff that just didn't mesh well. Dude, Miss Marvel was a fantastic show that people are going to overlook because the quality of the writing was not there. The design, the directing, the camera work was phenomenal. Russo brothers level camera work, and people will never see that because the quality was just so poor of the storytelling that could have been, or the character development even. So I think Miss Marvel had good character development. Everyone else in the show you could care less about, and that's not the way it should be. So I'm giving Phase 4 a pass. I didn't order Doctor Strange 2, the Blu-ray. I Disney Movie Club, I get all the Marvel Blu-rays. Doctor Strange was the first one that on release I said I'm not going to get it. Yeah. And it's just like, it's one of those things where it's like, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and just keep on trucking on, and I'm just going to play this off as, you know, maybe this is the prequel era where it's like, you know, it wasn't that good, but hopefully there's better things to come. You know, I mean, if it wasn't for Clone Wars, the movie, we wouldn't have Clone Wars, the TV show. So, you know, I'm just hoping that if this is one of those things where it's a transitory period, they learn their lesson, and I think they're going to have better quality with the roadmap they have and the shooting schedules, where they just couldn't rein it in, hone it in, and make it the Marvel that I know. I don't care about characters and race swapping and all that kind of stuff. If you tell a good story, I will watch and appreciate. And the stories and character development has just been lacking. And I'm just going to attribute it to Phase 4. It was the pandemic, different shooting schedules, couldn't control it. And I think Feige recognized it. And that's why he said, hey, Phase 4, we're done at Black Panther or Wakanda Forever. We're done. We're going to move on to better things. It just kind of sits in the middle between the Infinity Saga and the multiverse.
I'm still pumped about that one, though. I mean, if the trailer is any indication of the level of emotion that's going to go into that movie, I'm excited about it.
I am in the camp. I am in the camp. All respects to Chadwick Boseman and his fans and his family. They should have recasted Black Panther. They should have done it for the story. Recast it. For the story's sake. They had to shift so much around and push things around that they didn't have to do out of respect, which okay, sure, yeah. I think they should have recast him and kept the storytelling as it should have been.
Right. Well, his family said recast. Yeah, they said he would want you to recast this character.
I think it was a lose-lose. I mean,
it really was. It really was. And I would have chosen the side. I would have chosen the losing side rather than the losing side.
Yeah. Like I don't think anything you did was going to be. I feel like what they're doing is probably the best move forward because it's an homage, and it is well, maybe not homage, but it's an honor. They're honoring him. Mm-hmm. Not only as an actor and a person, but as the character, and letting that character have a finality that, you know, we've seen in the death of Iron Man, the death of spoilers, the death of Iron Man, the death of Captain America.
it's just too soon. Like, you know, granted, this is coming from a guy that read the comic books, and Wakanda versus Atlantis, Black Panther versus Namor was an amazing run. Oh my gosh, that feud! Yeah. Oh, it was so good, and it all led up. It all led up to Secret Wars, where Namor sold out. Told was it then? Who did he tell that an Infinity Gem was in Wakanda, and so they stormed Wakanda and grounded it. The Black Order leveled Wakanda because Namor told them to. Like, bro, that was heart-wrenching. And then Namor came in and flooded Wakanda, but it's not going to be Black Panther. It's not going to be T'Challa versus Namor because the name matters there. The name really does matter. Shuri versus Namor, to me, won't have as big of an impact as T'Challa because there's a lot of history.
I don't think it'll be her. I really don't. I think
you think it'll be his girlfriend.
I think it'll be Lupita Nyong'o, her character. I can't remember the name right now.
Is that his girlfriend?
Yeah,
from Black Panther 1.
Yes. I think it'll be her.
Well, I mean, if they'd have had any idea that Boseman had been sick, they wouldn't have killed the other character
Killmonger
in the movie. Yeah,
I heard Killmonger come back. I think
he may come back. I mean, they always come back.
M'Baku, what did he? The white bear.
He was the
gorilla guy.
The gorilla.
No, it's white gorilla.
Is it white gorilla or is it just
M'Baku is white gorilla? Yeah,
white gorilla. I think he'd be a cool replacement. I mean, you've got the whole unity aspect of it. and then he could take up the Black Panther reins. But maybe that's
I liked his character in the first movie.
I think Shuri could be a cool Black Panther because she leans more into the tech side of it, you know, like almost like an Iron Man Black Panther combination.
Yeah, but she's
his girlfriend, and she's in the family. Black Panther's a mantle, right? That you pass down through the family. I mean,
yes.
But that was the whole point of Black Panther, is that family's bigger than bloodlines and lineage. That's a big part of it.
And also, don't forget,
Baku could be.
There's a cross link between Moon Knight and Wakanda too.
Is there? I didn't finish Moon Knight. I couldn't.
Khonshu is an Egyptian god, so is Bast.
Yeah.
Who is the panther god of Wakanda.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Yeah. And Marvel, they're not really connected in MCU. That. In fact, someone did a map of all the MCU connections. It was like a mind map of like this character's been in this movie, and this character's been in this movie, and this character's been in this show.
Gosh.
Literally on the corner of the map, it's just Moon Knight characters. They don't interact at anything within the MCU. Now, God's not separate, but yeah. Anyways, Wakanda Forever, like it'll be fine. It's just one of those things where it's like I wanted more T'Challa. T'Challa is such a good character in the comics, especially in Secret Wars, and that's what hurts too. Is leading up to Secret Wars. I mean, not only whole universes and the incursion collapsing, but just Namor wiping out and selling out Wakanda to the Black Order, saying, hey, they have what you want. And they just come and level it because Black Panther's off fighting incursions. And so he's not there to protect Wakanda. I mean, that's a story I won't see on screen. And that just personally, it's very sad to me.
Well, I think one of the big things about Namor's character and T'Challa is the other Marvel characters in the comics or the movies. They've never really understood them because they really do make decisions as kings, not as your friend.
Yeah.
Because all the Avengers, Black Panther is their friend, but he's also the Batman of the Marvel universe. And he knows how to take everyone down, and he can and will.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he really treats Wakanda as his Gotham. I mean, there are times when the Avengers are like, "Hey, we need you," and Black Panther's like, "No, I got stuff to deal with in Wakanda." Kind of like Avengers Disassembled. Great storyline. Right. Thor's not in it because he's dealing with Ragnarok, and everyone's like, "Where's Thor? We need Thor." Well, he's trying to help. He's trying to save his kingdom himself because of Ragnarok's coming. And so there are times I think even the Illuminati, like he left them, like they're like, we're about to collide with another universe, and he's like, I'm gonna go help Wakanda with something. I think that was when Namor came in and destroyed it. So anyways, so Wakanda Forever, hey, great. I'm personally peeved, and that's my own personal thing, and no one else has that feeling like I have. Everyone else will hate it for different reasons or love it for different reasons. I'm just like, I just mourn for what could have been, and I hope when I see it, I'm like, hey, that's a great second spot, or even that's even better than what I wanted to see. I just don't have the hope. Also, Ironheart. Why is Ironheart in that movie? Ironheart, first of all, has a weird startup bringing anyways, but she has nothing to do with Black Panther or Wakanda in her origin story.
Oh, I didn't know she's in it.
I don't get that. Yeah, she's going to be in it.
Well,
don't know why.
I think the big thing that's going to come out of Wakanda Forever is Namor is not the real villain.
Yeah, I agree. I think we're going to find. I think
I know who the real villain's going to be, and we got a taste of that in Moon Knight.
See, that'll make it even worse. Namor should be the villain. Wakanda versus Atlantis. That's a feud I want to see on screen.
An appearance, but I think
Namor's
going to drop the hint.
Namor is back and forth. Namor is a necessary evil. In the comics.
Again, it's a king versus king kind of thing. He does what's best for his nation, even if it hurts yours, because that's what's best for us.
And Atlantis, I believe, in the Marvel universe is in the Antarctic Circle, and they had vibranium, I think. Or they wanted vibranium. That's how vibranium came into the feud somehow.
Negative vibranium is in the Savage Land.
Okay.
Savage Land is where the dinos are on Antarctica.
Oh, we haven't even got to that yet. Oh,
which is ruled by Khazar, and loosely
Sauron's
controlled
there, right?
jointly by the X-Men and Avengers.
Yeah.
Sauron is there as well, right?
Yes.
That's that whole arc. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh my
Yes.
gosh, forgot about Savage Land. Magneto goes there, creates the Brotherhood's there.
Yeah.
Right. He created the Brotherhood there. That's where he creates Sauron from a Petrodactyl.
Yeah. So if we ever get like Savage Land as a movie title, like that
was
could be so many cool things.
Was Devil Dinosaur from Savage Land? Because they're making a Moon Girl show.
Then
I don't know. I've never read that, so I can't tell you.
Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur is just like whatever the equivalent of watching TV while you're doing dishes. Like that's what Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur is in the comics. It's you don't read it for any other reason than it's a good self-contained story that you don't care if you forget, but you enjoy in the moment.
Casual viewing, as Netflix calls it. Casual viewing.
All right. Well, I got to wrap up and go pick up my kids from daycare. Anything else about the summer we want to hit?
I have 2 anime recommendations. I finished a series. It's 1 season. It was really great. It was called Astra, Lost in Space. Very cool, very twisted.
Is it self-contained, like a limited series, or just
like if you just watch, it's only got 1 season. If you watch the whole season, it's like it finalizes. So it's really great. And it was like Attack on Titan near the end, the last 5 or 6 episodes, where every episode I'm like, what is happening? What is going on? Like there was a cool plot twist you didn't expect to see. So I loved it. And the other one is an old classic I've always wanted to watch, and I just started watching it and I'm loving it. And that is Trigun. I've never seen Trigun. And so it's kind of like a Cowboy Bebop, which is one of my favorites, but it's like old style anime. It's a gunslinger in the future dystopian space who has this reputation for being this really violent and mass murderer type. But in truth, he's just some dumb kid and he won't shoot anybody. And it's like, but he's also super fast and you can't shoot him, and he can get out of anything somehow. And that's really his superpower, is that everybody who tries to kill him ends up destroying everything around him, and he gets blamed for it. So he moves to the next town. So destruction follows him because people just won't leave him alone.
I like it. Okay.
He just wants to eat. He just wants good food, and he's funny, and it's a little wild, but I like it. I've enjoyed it. So,
okay.
And of course, I'm playing
those
through
to my list.
I'm playing through Mass Effect again.
As soon as I open Astra on my, but by the way, the reason I can recall what shows I watch so quickly is I use an app called Just Watch. Yeah, Just Watch. I don't know if y'all have heard of that. It's kind of like IMDb, and you just add shows and it tells you where to watch them. And so I just went into my recently watched. So like Astra in Space, I just click this button, it'll open up Hulu. Same thing with Trigun. This show, what is that? The Offer. It's like a series based on the making of Godfather, but it's fictional. I just click that button and it takes me to Paramount. So it tells me where to watch things, and then also one click watch. So track that. So I added both of those, even though when I open up Astra Lost in Space, I'm like, it's an anime. I don't care for that kind of graphics and storytelling. I'm going to try it. Trigun. That sounds like I'm going to watch that first, because that sounds like a really cool story to be.
Trigun is fun. Astra is about, it's kids going on a space trip, and it's just supposed to be a week of camp in space for school. And all of a sudden they're shot across the galaxy.
So Space Camp. You remember that movie, Space Camp?
No, I don't.
The kids go to space camp and actually accidentally launch in a real rocket and end up in space.
But it unravels like some conspiracy, and like, why do they get tossed across the universe, and why them? And it was like they unravel, and then they plot this course back to their planet. And, they have to make these stops to get food and stuff. And at each planet, there's different challenges and interesting things unravel, and, good character development and all kinds of stuff. And it's got some great twists in the end of like when they reveal some of the plot. I mean, one of them, I was like, God, that was staring me in the face. I didn't even see that coming. It was like, how did I not know that's what they're talking about? Oh, it was so very good. But it is a classic anime. There's some stupid stuff in it, and it's goofy, and it has the loud, obnoxious character and the emo girl character, and it has the over the top angry guy and just shouts everything he says, and just it has some of that stuff in it. But the story wise, I really thought it was compelling and fun. And of course,
I've added to my list. I'll give anime another shot with Trigun, and let's see if now that's old anime. That was from the 90s.
Yeah, that's a 90s one. That's
the thing show. Which, hey, I liked Dragon Ball Z and Pokemon in the early aughts. So
it's a lot like Dragon Ball style. Yeah.
Okay. Doug, anything else you want to shout out from this summer?
Just that in about a week, maybe 2, Stargirl season 3 starts. And I know you two have not caught up on the first 2.
Stargirl,
but
man, it's my list.
I'm telling you, it's well worth your time. It is classic.
You know, when I add Stargirl to my list, it's going to push down Superman and Lois one spot because I am last in. I am last in, first out. I am LIFO with my list. If whatever it's on top, that's what I watch next.
Hey, Doug, I did start Superman and Lois
because the Arrowverse ceases to exist after this season. CW is pitching all their scripted stuff.
Yep, finally done. Flash season 9.
Superman and Lois and Stargirl will move to probably HBO Max. So
if it's still HBO Max,
it won't be a huge loss there because she started there. So
by the way, we forgot to have a moment of silence for Batgirl.
Oh, yes, it's gone.
In memoriam of the summer.
I did start Superman and Lois, and that is a pretty good show. I mean, it's got that CW feel to it sometimes, but the kids annoy me a lot. But the two
better.
Yeah, but they're good. It's a good, wholesome kind of family story. I really like it. It reminds me a lot of
I told you. I mean, it's this will probably annoy Justin just a little bit. I mean, because it is Superman, but he's not the perfect dad. He messes up.
Yeah. And I feel like, that story, it connects so well to the Smallville show that I grew up loving.
Mm-hmm.
And those guys, by the way, have a podcast that is great. It's like the guy who played Lex Luthor and the guy Tom Welling that played Superman. They have a podcast.
Rosenbaum is also in there.
Like a rewatch podcast?
Kind of.
Okay.
Yeah. And they talk about stuff that happened on the set, and I see clips. I haven't listened to
anybody in the superhero shows goes on that podcast. So
yeah, they've had a lot of good guests.
Cool. So, all right. Well, thank you for watching us talk about our blockbuster summer. And I hope after watching this, you have a blockbuster fall.
Down the stairs.
See you next time. Whenever we do another Nerd Pastor, I really want to try to get better at this every other week thing, like trying to do something every other week. So Seth, what do you want to talk about next?
Well, dreams are just wishes without goals, Justin.
You want to talk about our dreams next? I can talk about dreams.
No, I don't know what I want to talk about next.
Doug, Doug is always perpetually pitching me show ideas. What do you want to talk about next, Doug?
Let's see. What will be good next? Well, we do have Shazam and Black Adam coming up this year.
Oh man.
I
have good hopes for Shazam too. I love Shazam. I don't have hopes as The Rock as Black Adam.
I don't think any of that's going to be very good.
Either Black Adam is going to ruin The Rock or The Rock is going to ruin Black Adam. I don't think it's a good combination.
Well, The Rock is undefeated, and he'll bounce into something else, and he'll team up with Kevin Hart and be fine.
Well,
you're right. It's not going to be great.
I'm looking more forward to the JSA stuff because Pierce Brosnan is playing Dr. Fate.
Oh, that would be good. All right, we'll talk about something Shazam or Black Adam or something. I don't know next time. But we'll see you in a few weeks or a few months. There seems to be no in between.
We can talk about, just like you mentioned, Batgirl. We could talk about the new CEO of
all about DC
and Warner deconstructing the superhero universe.